Both sides don't have a problem with it. Nobody's saying, thou shalt expedite the ruling. They're trying to work out a settlement. And Peter Harvey, who is essentially controlled by the NFL here, he knows, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to issue the ruling until I know that the settlement possibility has hit the brick wall and it's not going to happen. Now, I don't know how difficult it is to get to the end of this. You're talking about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. That's your range in my mind of the total acceptable potential games that Deshaun Watson would take without Peter Harvey issuing a ruling. And then it comes down to how much money. He reportedly is willing to pay $5 million. How much more than 5 will the NFL want? Do they want the full $10 million that he made last year when he didn't play? So, Chris, I think it's 8 to 12 games, 5 to 10 million. And at some point, they just have to reach a decision. And here's the problem. Because they control Peter Harvey, there isn't a real deadline. Now, there is, week 1, but they can kind of take their time for now and stare at each other and wait for someone to blink because Peter Harvey isn't going to rule until he hears from someone at the league, okay, it's over, it's done, go ahead and issue your ruling.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think there's any, obviously then with Peter Harvey, I just feel like he obviously doesn't want to suspend Deshaun Watson for the full year or a full calendar year or the 17-game seasons. Do you think there's anything into that? I think if he looked at this and was just like, whoa, this is egregious, this is crazy, it's a full-year suspension's totally warranted or a full year, I think we've already got to that. So, I guess, to your point, I heard you kind of say you think 8, 10, 12 games, but do you think there's something to that there?
This is Peter Harvey and the NFL being in lockstep. Even though they aren't, they are. And together, the league and Harvey understand that if they suspend him for a full year, they're going to get a federal court challenge. You're going to have some of these other owners who haven't been held to a higher standard than players dragged into this thing. My understanding is there are other factors the league is concerned about. I don't know what they are yet, but the league is trying to avoid a federal court challenge to the Deshaun Watson case. And part of it, too, is, as Paul Tagliabue proudly said when he was the commissioner, all's well that ends. There is something to be said for bringing this to a conclusion and not having AP story after AP story and a topic on TV shows and first block of radio programs talking about the latest development in the Deshaun Watson litigation, and there's a hearing coming up, and will they get a preliminary injunction? Will he force his way back onto the field for week 7, and what other names are going to be dragged into this? What other arguments are going to be made? There's a point where you just want it to end. But if it's going to end, Chris, it's got to be with enough of a punishment that the league is insulated from the criticism. 8 games, you're not going to avoid the criticism. It's got to at least be 10. It can't be less than 10. And they better do a damn good job of explaining to everyone that the fine simulates last year being an unpaid suspension. So it's 10, if that's the number this year, plus whatever the fine translates to from last year. And if he's fined $10 million, hey, you missed 17 last year and you didn't get paid for them, and you're missing 10 this year. That's 27 games. If they sell it that way, they may have a better chance of getting people to accept it.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know if people are going to really accept it. I don't know. I feel like 10 is still going to get tremendous backlash. They're kind of in a no-win situation there. And again, I think more people are on that side of the fence than, whoa, it should be less than 10. So that's where I think they're going to get it no matter what. But you're right. I think that if they could package it like that, maybe it softens the blow to a degree. And, man, if I'm Deshaun Watson, $5-10 million, I would go, I don't care either way. Who cares? If it's 5 or 10, I know that's a big – I'll take $5 million right now, $10 million right now. Certainly that's huge, but in the big picture of things, if you got to pay $10 million, okay, you got $220 million more coming. So don't worry. I think that's something that I would take in a second if I'm Deshaun Watson. 8 games, 10 games, $10 million, boom, sign me up. I'm out of here. I'll see you in week 11. I would run to sign that agreement if I'm Deshaun Watson at this point.
This really is surprising, though, when you think about it. We saw the comments last Tuesday from Roger Goodell invoking the quotes from Judge Sue L. Robinson's decision that the behavior was egregious and predatory.
They're scared,
and
Mike.
that made both of us think, man, they're going to drop the hammer on Deshaun Watson. Forget about 12. They're going to suspend him for the whole season. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. Something has them scared.
Yeah.
And I don't use that term lightly. We both have used the same term organically. The NFL is scared about something that will happen if they don't suspend, or if they do suspend Deshaun Watson for the full season. Otherwise, they would have done it by now.
Yeah, I agree.
Because here's the other side of it, too. It's Wednesday, okay? Think of how the NFL typically does business. The NFL is the bull in the china shop, and it doesn't care how much china it breaks. It's gonna do what it's going to do. And to think that the NFL has slammed the brakes on this thing for 5 days now, when clearly the ruling was ready to go on Friday. I mean, it had to be. It had to be. Expedited ruling, expedited process, expedited no. Not 5 days later, not 2 weeks later. Between Friday to Wednesday, something has caused them to say, well, let's take a more calm and reasoned view. Let's see if we can work out a resolution that is mutually acceptable to everyone involved. And they haven't yet. They haven't. And they apparently haven't yet said, hey, you either take our offer by noon Eastern today or we're issuing the ruling at 12:01. They haven't gotten to that point. So I think our instincts are right here, although we thought our instincts were right a week ago, and maybe both things are true. They were ready to go, but something happened that has caused them to be scared. And I think they're scared right now of doing it. They're scared of what's going to happen next.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.